Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to a new video. Today I have for you a makeup tutorial and a lot of you requested to see this one in my Delhi vlog. I will link that video on the screen now if you guys haven't watched it. But basically we hosted a lovely party there for my father-in-law's birthday and I was sporting a white tuxedo blazer and I had this makeup look which a lot of you guys loved. I also wore it a few other days because I just fell in love with the look and every time we were going out I did the same look. So it did feature a number of times in that vlog. But I thought today I would recreate it for you. It's this look with a sparkly golden glittery eye and some it's a little bit of a smoky eye but nothing too intense, and then I'm going to give you two lip options. So do stay tuned and watch the whole video so that you can see the other lip alternative. And yeah, I think it's a super wearable look, super flattering. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. But before that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I upload twice a week and I would love to have you back on the channel. Okay, so I've just prepped my face with the Fenty Beauty Primer. That's the Pro Filter Primer, and I really like that one, especially if you're going to go for a matte look that you want it to last all night. It's really, really good, and that's the one I used to prep my skin on that day. I'm now going to go with my Super Foundation Mix, which I used in my last tutorial as well. I'll link that on the screen now if you guys haven't watched it. But basically, it's a mix of the Fenty Beauty Foundation, the YSL Touche Eclat to brighten and add a bit of luminosity, the BB cream to make it really, really last and stick onto my skin, and then a little bit of this strobe cream by MAC to add a little bit of radiance, because this one's kind of like a highlighter, but I just mix in a tiny bit and it makes my foundation look a little bit more natural. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that on the back of my hand. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and dot that onto my face now. And the only different thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try out my Clarisonic device, which I'm so excited to try out, which obviously I didn't have back then. So what I'm going to do is just switch it on, and I think this will start rolling. Okay, so it's blending it in quite nicely, but I don't really see much of a difference to a traditional brush. I don't know if maybe it's better if you put the product directly on the brush. I'm going to try that. The bristles are really, really soft though, which is very nice. But it kind of leaves a bit of an uneven coverage. I don't know if that's because the bristles are kind of too far spread. Okay, so overall I think the application is nice, but I don't really see much difference with my Zoeva buffing brush. I actually prefer the finish on the Zoeva buffing brush because this one I think the bristles are kind of too far spread, so it doesn't it leaves sort of some bits that are a bit streaky. You do have to really kind of go in a few times and really blend it in, but I have to say it does leave a very even film and a very kind of thin film, so it doesn't feel like the coverage is too heavy, which I quite like. But yeah, I mean, it's not much more expensive than a normal brush if you do have the Clarisonic device, so it might be something nice. It is very, very soft and it is very nice on the skin, but I just don't see a huge difference with a traditional brush that you kind of use with your hand, other than it just leaves a very, very thin layer. But I have to say, if I had to choose between this and the Beauty Blender, I would still choose the Beauty Blender. I don't know if, I think it works sort of similarly whether you actually put the product onto the brush or whether you put it directly on your skin and then sort of buffed it in. I don't really like to put product directly onto the brush. I normally prefer to put it on my skin and then kind of go in and buff it in, but yeah, maybe next time I'll try using the product directly on the brush all the time and see if that makes any difference. But for now, I'm going to go in with my Beauty Blender and just finish blending it out and just add a bit more coverage in the areas where I need it. I also feel that by using the brush, I did end up using a lot more foundation than I do when I just buff it in with the Zoeva blending brush. So yeah, that's not great because you end up using more product. Takes a bit longer than the buffing brush from Zoeva, but that's because it, it kind of, like I said, it goes a bit streaky on at first and then you kind of go round and round and it just leaves a very even layer there. I'm now going to go in with my YSL Touche Eclat and I'm just going to use this to sort of brighten, although I have to say that the First Aid Beauty Cream is amazing, and I already had my eyes quite brightened up even before. But I'm just going to use this in the areas where I have a bit more darkness. And this one is my favorite. I did use the Urban Decay one for a while, but I have to say I much prefer this. And because this one comes in with this little brush applicator, it's just so much quicker and easier to apply. I'm going to put a little bit around my mouth as well for any pigmentation. I'm going to use it on this spot here as well, which is quite pigmented, and a bit around here. I'm then going to go in with fingers and I'm going to blend it out. And this is kind of the traditional way I do it. In the previous tutorial I sort of did everything in one go rather than applying it in thin layers, and that's great for kind of an everyday, but for a party makeup look where you really want it to be kind of long lasting and to look very, very flawless, I would always recommend working in thin layers and kind of blending each layer as you go. I'm then going to go in with my Clé de Peau concealer, and this one is my absolute favorite to cover darkness. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the areas where I have darkness, pigmentation, or where I have any blemishes, just to kind of cover everything up. I've never found one that was as high coverage as this. I was really expecting the Tarte one to replace this one, and I was kind of excited because, you know, it's obviously a much cheaper alternative, but I'm afraid it's just not as good. I mean, I don't think I'll be able to replace this Clé de Peau one ever. I've heard amazing things about the NARS, like the Radiant Concealer, but the one that comes in a little pot, but I tried it in store, and for me it was just way too drying. This one is a lot more moisturizing, so despite having very high coverage, it just kind of doesn't look cakey at all, and for me that is definitely needed because I use it underneath my eyes, so I don't want something that's going to look kind of really heavy and dry. But I have had so many beauty bloggers rave about it that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to give that one another go. Do let me know in the comments below if you've tried it out and you kind of think differently. I always love to hear your recommendations. I'm now going to go in with the Tarte concealer because I've run out of my NARS one. And I'm just going to apply this in a triangle shape underneath my eyes, onto the bridge of my nose, onto my forehead, so any areas that I want to highlight. I love the scent in this product. If you don't like scented products, it does have kind of a subtle kind of rosy scent, I would say, but it is really, really nice. It almost smells like a bit like a perfume. I actually really like it, but if you're not into scented products, you might not love this one. I'm now going to go in with fingers and blend it out. I'm taking it down the side of my nose as well. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out of the product, and with this one a little bit goes a long way, but I'm just going to place this underneath my cheeks, along my jawline, and I'm going to take it a little bit higher up here in the corner just to accentuate that corner, make my jawline look a bit stronger. Take a little bit on my chin, a little bit down the sides of my nose, and a little bit across my forehead. And then I'm going to use my complexion brush to just blend everything in. I'm going to blend it nicely into the hairline, and also with the smaller part, just blend it on my nose and on my chin. Take a little bit underneath my lip to make it look a bit fuller. And then I'm going to go in with the Beauty Blender and just finish blending this out. Now we're going to go in with this Maybelline Anti-Age Eraser Eye, and the reason I'm using this is because actually for my party I chose this RODIAL pen, and this one's amazing, but it's super, super brightening, so it actually gave me a little bit of flashback when I used it near my eyes or around here, and it kind of looked a little bit weird in pictures. So I'm going to use my trusty Maybelline one, and I'm going to use that one just underneath where I did the contour, just to brighten that area. And then I'm going to use this just on the sides of my nose, just to brighten that area as well. And just across the bridge of my nose there, because I want to make that look a little bit wider. And then I'm going to use the RODIAL pen, which is super brightening, to highlight the center of my nose, the center of my chin. And I love this one because it's so easy to blend, but it was just a little bit too crazy. And I'm also going to use this one on the tops of my cheekbones and going into my brow. Now I'm going to take my beauty blender and just blend all of this out. Okay, now that I've applied all my cream products, I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier powder. You guys know the drill. I'm just going to pop a little bit of this onto the lid and then just take it underneath my eyes. Bit on my forehead. And actually, using this primer, you don't need a whole lot because it's already so mattifying, but this just kind of makes it look very, very flawless. But you don't need a whole lot of product. And then I'm just going to go in with my brush and I'm just going to dust away the excess. I'm now going to go in with my Chanel loose powder, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this and just press it onto the areas where I applied my contour. And this is really going to lock it in place. But I just want to kind of pat it on. I don't really want to rub it, because what I want to do is I really want to lock in the product. And then I'm going to go ahead with my By Terry powder, which is more kind of luminous and brightening. And I'm going to take this all over my face pretty much, just blending everything out, making sure everything looks nice and even, and just adding a little bit of glow back into my face. And this is a lovely way to blend in between the two powders, the white one and the Chanel one, which are kind of different colors, but this just sort of evens everything out. Okay, now I'm going to use this Chanel eyeshadow, and this is in the color Undertone. I'm going to use this as a base, as opposed to the NARS primer, which I normally use. I'm just going to use this all over my lid, but avoiding the kind of highlight area. So I'm going to take it from kind of this part to above the crease. And this one adds a really, really lovely kind of glow, but it's still very subtle, and it just kind of neutralizes your eyes. I find it super long lasting, actually even more long lasting than my NARS primer. And at the same time, it just kind of adds a little tint and a really, really beautiful kind of satiny glow. Don't know how well the camera is picking this up, but it gives it a very beautiful kind of glow, which is really flattering. Now I'm going to put this on the other eye. And I'm using a flat shadow brush to do this. And because I've already powdered, you do have to kind of take your time blending it out, but it's definitely worth it. I'm also going to take a little bit on the bottom corner of my eye. And now I'm going to go in with my sticky notes so that I can do the smoky part of the eye. I'm now going to go in with the Victoria Beckham palette, and I'm going to take the nude color on this kind of fluffy blending brush. And I'm going to use this to accentuate my crease, but I'm going to go mostly on like the higher part of my crease, and I'm going to take it quite high up because my eyes are especially hooded. So I really want you to be able to see this color when I open my eye. So I'm going to take it pretty high up, just leaving kind of the little highlight area underneath my brow. I'm now going to take the same flat shadow brush I used earlier, and I'm going to take the BECCA highlight that I used, that's Champagne Pop. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pack it onto my kind of movable lid area. And I want to take this all the way till the kind of socket of my eye. And we're going to do the same on the other eye. And if you want to make this even more intense and metallic, you can definitely wet the brush, but I sort of prefer a little bit of a subtler, that's even a word, gold. I'm now going to go with my Topaz eye palette, and I'm going to take this sort of brick coloured brown. And I'm going to take this onto the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm going to blend it into the crease, but taking it a little bit lower than the Victoria Beckham eyeshadow I used earlier. I'm now going to take this palette by Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm going to take this reddish brown colour, and I'm just going to use a little bit of this just to pop it on the outer part of my crease. So you literally just want it concentrated up there. And I'm using this blending brush, but you can use a more precise brush if you want. I just like this one because it gives it a very subtle sort of hint of colour. But you want to concentrate it only on the outer part of the crease. And then I'm going to go back in with my nude shade. And I'm just going to take it just to blend in these colours at the top a little bit. I'm now going to go in with a smaller blending brush, and using the same Charlotte Tilbury palette, I'm going to take this shade here, which is like the darkest brown, that's the smoke shade. And it's like a shimmery sort of dark brown with a bit of bronze going through it. And I'm just going to use this to kind of accentuate the outer corner, but I want to keep this really going into the socket because this is what's going to add bit of depth to the look. So I don't want to go too high up with this one. And now from the same palette, I'm going to take this glitter shade, which is like a pressed glitter, and I'm going to take a very small flat brush. You can actually do this with your fingers as well, but I find with the brush it's a little bit easier. And I'm just going to pack this onto my lid. This is going to give it a bit more of a bronzy shade, as opposed to such a light gold colour. And it's also going to add a lot of sparkle, which is what we were after for that party look. So you want to take this all the way up to the socket, and you're going to have to go in a few times just to really pack the glitter on. I'm also not taking this past the kind of center part. I'm leaving this part with the dark shadow. I don't want to take it all the way to the outer part of the eye. Okay, and once you're happy with how much glitter you have, I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to dip it back into the BECCA Shimmering Skin Perfector. And I'm going to take this gold just into the corner of my eye, just to lighten that area. And I'm also going to take a little bit onto the center of my lid, just to make it a little bit lighter there and add a kind of touch of light. I'm then going to go back in with the small brush, and without adding any more product, I'm just going to go over the socket of the eye just to wipe off any glitter that's kind of gone onto there. And now I'm going to use the same flat brush I used earlier, and I'm going to go in with this vanilla shade from the EYELURE Fleur de Force palette. And I'm just going to take that underneath my brow bone, just to highlight that area. And then I'm going to go over that with my BECCA Shimmering Skin Perfector in Champagne Pop. And then using my blending brush from earlier, I'm just going to blend this out. Okay, now I'm going to go in with this pencil brush, and I'm going to take the nude shade again from the Victoria palette, and I'm going to use this to smudge underneath my bottom lash line. But I'm not going to go into the inner corner because I want to leave that kind of gold pop there. And with this one, you want to go quite low down because you really want to smoke out the look. Now I'm going to go in with this red shade again from the Charlotte Tilbury palette. And I'm going to use this again underneath my lash line, but not smoking it down as much as I did with the other one. I'm going to keep this a little bit higher up. I'm going to go in with this small brush I used earlier with the gold shadow, and without adding any more colour, I'm just going to use that to blend it into the other colour. And then I'm going to take the fluffy brush and just kind of smudge out the edges, because after taking off my sticky notes, they're pretty intense. And I don't want them to look so harsh. I'm also going to swipe this underneath my eyes just to kind of clean up. Now we're going to go in with the gel liner from Estee Lauder, and I'm just going to create quite a thin line on my top lash line, and I'm going to make this kind of thicker gradually. I don't want to make it too thick to begin with, and I want to wing it out just a little bit on the end. I don't like wings that are too big just because my eyes are hooded and I find them they're not too flattering on my eye shape. I'm now going to go in with my liquid liner by Maybelline just to add a bit more intensity. Going over the top of the other line I created. And I'm now going to go in with this black shadow from the Victoria Beckham range, and I'm just going to take my eyeliner brush and I'm just going to go over this, making the line a little bit thicker but a little bit more smudged out with this shadow. This is also adding a little bit of glitter because this one has sort of a silver glitter running through it. I want to make it especially thick on the outside, the outer corner. And then I'm going to take my pencil brush, dipping it a little bit into that black shadow. I'm just going to smudge this. And then I'm going to go back in with the liquid liner and just very close to the lash line, add a little bit more product. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the brown shadow from the Charlotte Tilbury palette, the darkest one. And I'm going to use this to create a very thin line just on my lower lash line. I'm taking this all the way to where my lashes end. And I'm going to wing it out a little bit just so that it's in line with my top line. I'm then going to go in with my blending brush and I'm just going to swipe it underneath my eyes without adding any more product, just to blend it all out. Then I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury pencil, and this is in the colour Audrey, I think, which is like a dark brown. And I'm just going to take this along my lower waterline. And then I'm going to take the kajal from the Victoria Beckham line. I'm going to take the black colour and I'm going to swipe that across my upper waterline, just to make my eyelashes look a little bit thicker and a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to go in with my eyelash curler and I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm going to go in with my Better Than Sex mascara. This one adds really, really nice length and it separates them a lot. Okay, now that we're finished with eyes, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of bronzer to warm up my face. And I've been loving the one in the Deck of Scarlet palette, and that is the Dusk bronzer. And actually this palette, you can, it's like a subscription package, but you can also buy the palettes individually. So I will link all the products that I've used below. And this one's beautiful because it's got like a bit of a golden shimmer running through it, but it's not too warm. It's kind of the perfect sort of glow with a bit of a hint of warmth, but it's not kind of too orange. And it's not too shimmery, but it does add a touch of shimmer. Without really adding a lot more product, I'm just gonna go in with this big brush and I'm just gonna blend out the bronzer a little bit. And I'm gonna go in with my RODIAL contour and I'm just gonna go over the areas which I contoured earlier. Just with a light hand to add a little bit more depth. Also going to take it along my jawline. I'm also going to take it underneath my jawline and across my chin, just to shorten my face a little bit, and just take it down the sides of my neck, just to kind of accentuate that area. And taking a fluffy blending brush, I'm just going to take it down the sides of my nose. I'm now going to go in with this Ecstasy blush by Charlotte Tilbury. Just going to apply a little bit on the apples of my cheeks. Just kind of take it backwards. And then I'm going to take a fan brush and my BECCA Shimmering Skin Perfector again. And I'm just going to add this to the top of my cheekbones, down the bridge of my nose, top of my lip, center of my chin, and just above my brows. Moving now into brows, I'm going to go in with my lingering brow pencil. I'm just going to make them a little bit thicker because the eyes are pretty intense, so I want a bit of a bolder brow. I'm going to brush them through with a spoolie just to blend this out. And then I'm going to seal the pencil in place using this powder from the EYELURE palette of Fleur de Force. I'm just going to add the darker colour. I love that you can customise it, so I'm just going to add the darker colour on the outer part of the brow and then the lighter colour as we go in. And I'm going to go over it with the spoolie again just to kind of make it a little bit more kind of blended. And I'm going to go over it with the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. And then I'm just going to clean up around this with my beauty blender without adding any more product. And now finally moving on to lips. I'm going to show you 2 lip options. I'm first going to go in with the one that I didn't wear for the party, which would be a red lip. But you can obviously pair it with a nude lip, which is what I did for the Delhi party, and I thought that looked amazing. But I've shown you that lip so many times that I'm first going to show you how it looks with a red lip. I'm going to go in with this GIGI Hadid for Maybelline lip liner, and I love this red. It's a very flattering red. It's got like a bit of a blue tint to it, so it makes your teeth look really white, but it's not too blue, so it's still good for olive skin tones. So I'm going to use this to kind of line my lips. I'm just overlining my lips a little bit on the corners. Then I'm going to go in with the colour Lani. And then I'm going to take a lip brush just to go in the corners. So as you can see, this is a lovely matte lip, which I think is really nice because the eyes are quite sparkly and glittery, but they're still pretty nude. So I think they can take a red lip, and because this one's quite matte, it still feels quite modern and not too overdone. But I'm gonna go put my hair down, add some falsies, which are definitely needed for this look. I don't want anything too dramatic, but I think a lash definitely adds a bit of depth to a smoky eye. So I'm gonna go add those and I'll show you the final look, and then stay tuned because I'll show you the nude look as well. Okay guys, so this is the final look. So I've just added some lashes, guys. I've added the Fleur de Force half lashes, and they're kind of good because they're not too over the top and they're not too long. They just add a bit of a flick at the end. And then I added a little bit of the all-nighter setting spray just to make sure that this makeup look would last all night. So I love this option with the red lip. I think it's something a bit more fun, a bit even more glamorous, and I think you could definitely pull it off because the eyes are not too crazy. But now I'm going to show you what it would look like with the nude lip. And now for the nude lip option, I'm going to show you how I got the lip that I sported at the party. I'm going to go in with my Sabre lip liner. Filling in my lips at the corners. And I'm going to go in with my Victoria lip liner, and I'm going to go over the Sabre lip liner. And then I'm going to fill in my entire lip. Then I'm going to go in with my Tom Ford lipstick in Blush Nude. I love how creamy this one is. And then I'm just going to spread it out using a lip brush. Then to top it all off, I'm going to go in with my Fenty Beauty Gloss that is going to add some shimmer and also a little bit of a kind of peachy tint. Okay, and this is the final option with the nude lip, which is how I wore it to our party in Delhi. I think this looks amazing, but I just wanted to show you the other option just because I always show you a nude lip, so I thought I would do something a bit more fun and show you an alternative as well. But I do love it with the nude lip. I think it's super wearable, super flattering, and of course, I've used a very kind of pale, sort of a little bit pinky nude, but obviously you can go for something a little bit more brown or a little bit more beige, depending on what flatters your skin tone. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will link the vlog down below if you haven't watched my Delhi vlog. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!